Storms. Everything you need to know for tomorrow's next weather alert. Beautiful temps in the 60s, very mild as we head into tonight, into the 50s. But then tomorrow, especially as we go into late afternoon, evening, and maybe even the nighttime hours, thunderstorm chances move in. You can see slight risk, 2 out of 5 severe weather threat here in the metro. A little bit higher off across southwestern Minnesota, 3 out of 5 enhanced risk. I'll take you through that next future radar with all of these details.
The weekend, and I'm not just talking about temperatures and sunshine,
no,
Lisa.
It's storms. Yeah, 2 totally different days. Top 10 weather day today. Next weather alert coming up here tomorrow. Looking at those next Monday, and temps will drop behind this weekend. Highs go down to the 60s next week. Right now, temps are in the 60s or the 70s, 78 right now in the Twin Cities with a fair amount of sunshine. Winds aren't too bad. Temps tonight pretty mild. We're down to 56 for your overnight low. 50s from the metro south, 40s as you look a little bit further up to the north. Then tomorrow, our high temp in the 70s this time. So we're taking temps down already. Tomorrow, more cloud cover in place. Also tracking the rain. Highs only in the 60s for locations like St. Cloud, Alexandria 57, western Wisconsin also in those low 60s. We have 73 in the Twin Cities and then mid 70s further off to the south, but you'll notice the winds are going back up. Tomorrow we do have some winds that'll be into the upper 20s, maybe close to 30 miles per hour coming in out of the east. Now tomorrow we do have that 2 out of 5 slight risk for severe storms here in the orange, here in the metro. 3 out of 5 enhanced risk further off across southwestern Minnesota. Let me show you why. Next future radar. Again, tomorrow morning, we can't rule out some showers that could come through even for the morning hours. Even if that's the case, we anticipate a bit of a pause for the afternoon hours. Then as we start to head into the evening, and again, this timing could shift, but the idea of the severe weather threat is that we could have some of those single supercell storms forming across the Dakotas or across southwestern Minnesota. That's why there was that higher severe weather threat in this region, because that's when you have your better chance of the larger hail or a few of those tornadoes. Now, as we continue to go into the evening hours, and again, give or take a couple of hours with this, those storms that do fire could form a line and move from west to east across the state. With this, that's when we have that straight line wind threat. Large hail is still possible, and even embedded tornadoes could be within this line. But again, the timing could be moved up. It's still one of those things the atmosphere still has to figure out. That being said, I would say we're still tracking as early as the afternoon severe weather threat, especially for further off to the west. We pull this through going into about midnight. It's still possible to see those storms in western Wisconsin before they do eject on out of here. Again, main threat for the metro area, wind and hail, secondary threat, a few tornadoes and also some flooding. We're not done though. Monday, we have a possible next weather alert, which will be upgraded if this does hold. Part of Monday's forecast depends on Sunday, but right now we have a slight risk for severe storms, 2 out of 5, mainly for the southeast metro and off to the southeast.
Unless you're in the southwest corner of the state, do that as soon as you can before we get to the afternoon.
Yep, I would say so. But you will have some rain potential for the morning too, so keep that. But it's the severe storms the latter part of the day we care about.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
You can see here in the orange in the metro area, 2 out of 5 slight risk for severe storms. Good portion of the state of Minnesota, western Wisconsin, off to the southwest, enhanced risk, 3 out of 5 from the Dakotas just into portions of southwestern Minnesota. A bit of a higher threat for severe storms there. Let me show you with our next future radar. Now, it is possible you could get a little bit of rain in the morning, but it's this late evening going into the nighttime hour time frame that we're tracking that potential for the severe storms. Now, that higher threat further off to the southwest is due to that supercell potential. Could be bringing some isolated tornadoes. Also, the larger hail in the forecast there. Notice off to the southwest, timing could shift. Do want to make sure you're aware of that, but we will be watching this as early as afternoon, but especially as we go into the evening, storms fire up to the southwest. Forecast calls for them to form a line as they go from west to east across Minnesota into western Wisconsin, and this could linger into midnight going into Monday morning before we see the storms start to exit the area. So that's why we'll stay weather aware as we continue to go throughout, especially tomorrow evening going into tomorrow night. We'll take a look at those specific severe weather threats and also how much rain you can expect over the next 24 hours. We're switching it over to the severe weather potential. Now, it is possible we could have some rain in the morning hours for some, so I don't want that to catch you off guard if you have Sunday morning plans. It's just the severe threat holds off until later in the day. We're also watching Monday. A possible next weather alert is in place for Monday. Again, the severe threat that we'll be watching there after the systems. Then we have some cooler air that will be in place. Right now we're at 68 here in the Twin Cities, 50s to the north, 60s as we look further off to the south. Temps as we continue to head into the overnight drop down to the 50s and the 40s. Still pretty mild. Normally we're at 50. We're down to 56 year low here in the Twin Cities and further off to the south. Some 40s though for locations looking out to central Minnesota. Do keep in mind if you're up and early tomorrow morning and out the door, those temps will be in the mid 40s. Now tomorrow's high temp into the 70s this time, but it depends upon where you are. Further to the north, highs in the 50s, 73 here for the Twin Cities, mid 70s further off to the south. And it will be breezy. Winds out of the east going into the afternoon, gusting close to 30 miles per hour. So the winds return coming up here tomorrow. All right, so here's our next future radar. As we go into the morning hours, like I said, some could get just your general rain, maybe a rumble of thunder, but not anticipating severe weather with tomorrow morning. But heads up, you do have a rain potential for some tomorrow morning. Anticipate a lull in the activity midday. Then as we go into tomorrow evening, we pull in that severe weather chance. I will caution, it is possible you have to give these forecast models a couple of hours ahead and behind this time frame. Tomorrow morning when you watch our shows in the morning, we have a better idea as to the timeline of when the storms fire up. But at this point, it's possible you got to give yourself a little leeway of a few hours with this. Nevertheless, as early as afternoon, still favoring evening going into night, we have thunderstorms developing out into the Dakotas, forming and moving from west to east across the state. This does include about this time tomorrow night, tracking those storms through the metro, making their way into western Wisconsin as we head into, say, midnight, and then kicking out of here by the time we head on into Monday morning. The higher tornado threat is off to the southwest, 3 out of a 5 enhanced risk. Slight risk does include the metro area. As those storms form that line and swing through, your straight line wind potential is a little bit higher. So that's what we'll be tracking for the metro. We throw in a hail potential. You could still get some embedded tornadoes in that line though, and we'll still watch the flooding. That's not it. Monday we'll track. Sunday could change the forecast for Monday, but for now we still have the slight risk orange there for southeastern Minnesota and also the southeastern portion of the metro for Monday. Again, timing, watching Monday afternoon, evening, the potential for severe weather. Positive, Sunday and Monday, 1 to 2 inches of rainfall coming out of this. So that'll help. But still, that's why we have the alert tomorrow, possible next weather alert Monday. Tuesday morning, a little bit of rain lingers. It'll be windy. It'll be cool.
Meteorologist Lisa Meadows, Derek James back with you. We're going to get into this next weather alert here in just a second. A lot to cover. But first, we do have to get the answer to the weekend weather question.
Yes, obviously well above the average, but not the record of 94. Today we hit 80. So it was a little bit cooler this afternoon, but still well above, again, the average of 69. Temps have dropped. We're down to the upper 60s here in the metro, 50s for western Wisconsin, 50s up to the north, 60s further off to the south. As we head into tonight, temps stay pretty mild. Normally we're at 50. We take it down to 56 here in the metro, but temps down to the 40s, 46 for Rice Lake, 45 in St. Cloud, and even down to the 30s across far northern Minnesota where some frost is even possible. We got to go pretty far up to the north to see that. Tomorrow's high temp coming down to 73, so some 80s dropping to the 70s for your high temp tomorrow. It's 73 here in the Twin Cities, but the 60s for locations like St. Cloud, 50s further up to the north with winds out of the east sustained to 20, gusts close to 30 miles per hour. So the winds return. You're going to notice those stronger winds tomorrow. I'm optimistic about the Twins game. Twins game coming up at 1:10 tomorrow. Rain chance in the morning, it's pretty iffy. And then those thunderstorm chances, they don't really come in until the latter part of the day. So it's possible we'll have to watch them toward the end of the game. But I think it's possible we'll get the game in without having to deal with any showers or storms. Temps do climb from the 60s as we start the game, getting back to the 70s by the end of the game. Here's your next future radar. So as we continue to jump into tomorrow morning, like I said, some locations could be dealing with a little bit of morning rain, break midday, Storms fire up again as we go into tomorrow. I would say you'll have to watch, especially if you're further off to the west, for the afternoon. But timing has consistently been more so of an evening development of thunderstorms off to the west. We pull them through from west to east, going into even midnight as we head into western Wisconsin. Then we kick the storms on out of here further off to the east. Again, we do have the slight risk, 2 out of 5 for the metro area. That's for tomorrow. Then Monday, slight risk also for locations across southeastern Minnesota further to the south. So for Monday, we will keep a close eye on the potential for storms. The timing with that round is coming in like 3 to 9 p.m. It's a little further to the southeast, as I just showed you. And then we do have a little bit of a higher flood threat because we'll have already had the rain from Sunday. So possible next weather alert for Monday in place. We'll watch it, and we might have to upgrade that as we go into tomorrow. Overall rainfall amounts. We'll look at the positive aspect of
Coming up, the